Welcome to Manna at the Tap, a podcast of Tapestry Ministries. Each episode reflects on a daily Bible reading from the Revised Common Lectionary. I'm Gloria, a fellow traveler on a spiritual journey with the Tapestry community, and we refer to the daily Bible reading as our spiritual manna, nourishing our souls and fostering growth as we share insights and interpretations that enrich our spiritual lives. Monday, March the 10th, 2025, marks the fifth day in the Lenten 40-day journey. The lectionary reading comes from the Old Testament books of Chronicles, which recounts the people's history of Israel, highlighting the stories of King David and his son Solomon and the subsequent kings of Judah. The story today is taken from chapter 21 of the First Chronicles. It centers on David, the census carried out by him, and the repercussions of conducting the census. This intriguing story, though, begins with one question: who told David to conduct a census? There are two possible answers. Was it God or was it Satan? David had had an extraordinary season of defeating the nations surrounding Israel with military power that surpassed Israel's. Many of their warriors were giants, but with the help of the Lord, David and his men would overcome them. One day, out of the blue, and without consulting his army general, David instructed him to carry out a census and report the numbers back to him. His army general, though ambitious, felt uneasy about David's demand, and he was really disappointed that he hadn't been consulted. When the army general attempted to express to David that perhaps God was not pleased with this decision, David ignored him and insisted he proceed with the task. The army general put forth a lackluster effort, neglecting to include some communities in the count. Nevertheless, the census still resulted in over 1 million men. When David heard the results, at that very moment, he recognized that his actions displeased God. He promptly said to God, I have sinned greatly by doing this. I am guilty. I have acted very foolishly. God responded to David with a message from one of David's spiritual mentors. David had to make a choice between three consequences for his action. And in deep distress, he answered, Let me fall into the hands of the Lord, for his mercy is very great. And on that day, 70,000 men perished due to a plague. God is angry. David's order to conduct the census was a sin. David ignored the voice of reason, his army general, and innocent men perished in a plague. The angel that was sent by God is now poised to destroy Jerusalem. And the Lord looked down, repented of his anger, and remembered his mercy. God abruptly halted the angel from destroying Jerusalem. At that exact moment, David looked up and saw the angel ready to destroy Jerusalem. He fell on his face, repented of his foolish actions, and remembered that he was at God's mercy. Did you notice that both God and David repented and remembered? And what about the two answers to the same question? Who told David to conduct a census? Here's what I think. David relied on his own thoughts to make a decision. And even when his army general challenged him about the census, he chose not to discuss his reasoning. The moral of this story is to be aware of the thoughts that are running through your mind. Before acting on these thoughts, engage in a dialogue with a trusted person instead of rushing to insist on your own way. The consequences can be deadly for innocent people. David was willing to acknowledge and admit his wrongdoing, and God was ready to recognize and forgive him. God's mercy was plentiful, and because of David's readiness to confess his sin, Jerusalem was spared.